Hello and welcome. So yesterday we had the Puerto Rico, and I spoke up the Alaska, how she is a comparable ship to the Alaska while being an entire tier lower. So obviously today we are in the tier 10 US supercruiser, the Alaska. And she has American piercing, just like the Puerto Rico, but just like the Des Moines. That is, her ricochet angles on their shell, on AP shells, is better than, I think, almost anyone. I guess there are some exceptions. We're talking cruisers here. So if your ricochet angles are, if you fire at the target that is angled, if the target is too angled, your shells will ricochet. However, the game has a mechanic where certain shells will ricochet at a steeper angle only, meaning that the target has to be more angled than you would expect to be able to ricochet those shells. And the Alaska, the Des Moines, the Puerto Rico, they have very good ricochet angles, meaning that you need to angle very, very well against these ships. Stalingrad is another ship that has very good ricochet angles. And the thing is with ricochet angles that the greater the penetration on AP shells, the more useful that thing gets, because it means that you can actually get through the angled armor, because the more you angle, the thicker the armor also gets, or at least the apparent thickness. This is also why the Stalingrad is so incredibly dangerous with her AP. And the Alaska and the Puerto Rico kind of fall into the same category. They are large gun caliber ships, meaning that they do have the punch to utilize those kinds of ricochet angles, better than the Des Moines, for example. So, here I'm pushing. I actually didn't plan on pushing here, but since the enemy didn't contest, I figured I would just go through this gap and maybe I can get a nice salvo on that New Orleans. She seems to be broadside, and that could work rather well for me. Come on, New Orleans. I'm gonna lead because these shells are slow, but unfortunately I realize at this moment that I actually did lead too much. Now I need to pass through here quickly, because that's two destroyers and one of them is a Benham, and Benhams have a lot of torpedoes, meaning that staying around would have been incredibly dangerous. So let's do a quick comparison between the Puerto Rico and the Alaska. So the Puerto Rico does have some advantages. She has 11k more HP, she has 28% torpedo belt instead of 13 of the Alaskas, she does have slightly better anti-air, she has more guns, meaning that your alpha damage on a broadside is higher. However, there are many things that the Alaska is better at. The Alaska has 13 kilometer concealment versus the Alaska has 12.2 kilometer concealment versus the Puerto Rico's 13. The Alaska also has a better reload. She has better dispersion on the guns, because Alaska or Puerto Rico for some reason is like Montana dispersion. The Alaska doesn't have the same sigma as the Puerto Rico, but if you look at the accuracy calculations that you can get, you'll find that actually DPM-wise, even though the Puerto Rico has more guns, the Alaska in many cases ends up very close to the same values as the Puerto Rico, while being an entire tier lower. And so essentially, I think the Alaska is just either a similar strength ship or a better one, and that was a very nice salvo on the bouquet. Reason is that the Alaska just offers many of the same things the Puerto Rico does, while being an entire tier lower, which means that you can get into matches like this one, this is an entirely tier 9 match, or I suppose not entirely, that is, the top tier ship in this match is tier 9, you couldn't be in this match as a Puerto Rico, but then as an Alaska, it's no problem. And I think being able to use her strengths against lower tier ships makes her even more powerful, because 61k HP on a cruiser is quite significant when you're against tier 7 ships. Come on, Ibuki, you know you want to catch those. Please, Ibuki, please. Please. Oh, this is looking good. Looking good. And goodbye, Ibuki. That was an excellent salvo. Now, firing these guns does take some time to getting used to, because they are fairly slow shells. You know, as is usual with American guns. But they do have the penetration. And slower shells does mean that you can actually fire over islands much better than something like a Stalingrad can, which can be quite an advantage. It might be more difficult to aim, but you can also be more defensive. So right now, in this match, you notice that I started slowing down and reversing. That's because at the start of the match we had the indicator that there was a cyclone coming. However, the cyclone hits at the 11-minute mark. That is, at the 11-minute mark is when vision becomes 8 kilometers. And right now, the enemy is clumped up near the sea cap. And I'm afraid that if I push in right now, I'll have 2 minutes for the enemy to shell, pound on me and perhaps deal so much damage that my ship will be gone by the time cyclone actually hits. And so what I want to do is I want to stay far away and, keep shelling, although I suppose 13 kilometers from a tier 9 battleship isn't that far, but essentially I want to stay further away so that I still have a lot of HP left when cyclone hits. If you stay far away, ships are less likely to focus fire you. And when cyclone does hit, I want to go close because remember, you can use your radar in cyclone to spot ships. So even though cyclone might reduce spotting range to 8 kilometers, if you have 10 kilometer radar, you can shoot at targets that are 10 kilometers away. And essentially you can be invisible to who you're attacking. And this is quite an advantage for radar ships. That's also one of the reasons I suspect why the Soviet battleships lost their battleship radar, because that would be kind of crazy in Cyclone. Okay, we can start pushing forward because there's only a minute to go, and I do need to remember that it takes time for ships to travel from one point to another, and I do want to be within 8 kilometers or very close to it when Cyclone is fully in effect. That is the 11-minute mark. Meanwhile, we'll keep shelling HE on this Jean Bart. Since she is angled, AP probably isn't gonna do much more than HE is anyway, so might as well. I am using a Hydro because, well, they do have 3 destroyers, and you never know if one of the destroyers maybe did something cheeky and came back. In this situation, if I had AP loaded, I would have taken a shot at the Georgia, but because HE loaded, I'm gonna try to set the Jean Bart on fire again, which I did. And that's gonna deal quite significant amounts of damage to her. Oh, and it's actually one at the front too. Maybe we can get one on the back, because she doesn't seem to have fire prevention. Okay, Cyclone is in full effect, 8 kilometers. Oh, 2 fires. Oh, that JB is in so much trouble. Okay, then I guess we'll just continue pushing. Maybe we can catch the Soyuz showing me broadside. Damn, the Soyuz pushed forward. I guess it makes sense. JB does go down to the fire. That's very good. But Soyuz pushing makes sense because she probably also wants to have vision of the enemy ships to actually be able to shoot them. I'm gonna just go closer like this. If the Soyuz pushes forward, I get a nice broadside on her. And the closer I am, the more likely I am to be able to citadel her. Looking at the minimap, I saw the Błyskawica on the minimap, because some of my allies saw it, and when my radar spotted her, I took a shot, and she was only at 270 HP, so it only took 1 shell to finish her off. Radar is gone now, so I don't really know what the Soyuz did, or is doing right now, but she's probably not going forward. She is probably reversing instead. And so I might be able to get her through the gap you can see between the 2 islands there. And hopefully... Okay, so the Musashi is ahead, I guess. The shell is just spawned over there in the water. Come on, Soyuz. Come on. I want your broadside. Okay, good. Well, maybe not so good. I want to be able to citadel her. But the angle is gonna get... Oh no, Musashi is there. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna take a shot on the Soyuz. The angle isn't gonna be good, and I'm not sure how much I can get through the gap. Maybe Musashi shot is better, since she is more angled, but unfortunately it seems I cannot actually penetrate her main belt from this range. Well, Soyuz is angled. I'm gonna slow down. Hopefully I can citadel her from here. Come on. Oh, 6 non-penetrations. It seems I do not have enough penetration power, so I guess I need to push forward. And this is the moment where I realized that I screwed up, because I can't sink this Soyuz, and then there's the Musashi in front of me. Sure, they can't really citadel me, but I can't really do much to them either. I was hoping maybe shooting the gun turret there would actually, or the armored area below the gun turret would allow me to deal some damage. Maybe I'll get the citadel, but unfortunately there was no citadel. But I was able to at least pen the Soyuz. So the plan right now is I only have 20k HP left to ram the Musashi. I want to deal some damage to her, so to soften her up so that the ram actually sinks her. But if I can't, I'll just take the ram. My main worry here right now is that the Soyuz might be able to sink me before I get to do that. But the Soyuz is showing me broadside, so I might be able to get a nice citadel off on her. Ooh. Oh yes. Oh no! I missed the Musashi! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! I was hoping to ram the Musashi, but I missed her. Oh god, I screwed up there. Okay, come on, we need to sink the Soyuz. Come on! Excellent. Oh, actually, you know what? This position isn't too bad. Because Musashi has very slow turret traverse, right? Meaning that she can't actually engage me because I'm so close and I'm in a position where she, you know, didn't anticipate me getting to. Which means that she can't do much, and I have 20 seconds until my next heal. Oh yes. Oh, and the Musashi is now dealing with the destroyer, the Z-39 next to me. Meaning that she's gonna show me some of that cheek. If not even side, and I might be able to citadel her from here. Oh yeah! 24k damage, just like that. And if I keep behind the Musashi, she will have to turn her ship because her turret traverse is slow. If this was a battleship with fast turret traverse, I would probably be dead. But because it's a Musashi, or I guess Yamato would be in the same situation, I am actually able to citadel her, and I think that's goodbye, Musashi. Yeah, your guns are turning, but it's too late. And that's a nice Kraken. I still have 9k HP left. Sure, there's a fire going, but the fire's not gonna sink me, and I still have 2 heals, so all I need to do at this point is heal. It's a 3 versus 2 left. We do have the points advantage, but they have 1 destroyer and a Missouri. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to surprise the Missouri. You know, my heal is gonna be up. I get spotted, so I know the destroyer must be here, so I'm gonna trigger the radar immediately. However, I messed up here. I swapped from AP to HE. I should have just kept AP, so I could take a shot on this Benham. Because right now what's gonna happen is the Benham is gonna be behind an island by the time I can fire. Luckily though, our Iowa was there to pick up the slack and managed to finish her off, so now I'm swapping back to AP, and I'm gonna try to ram this Missouri. Wait a minute, Missouri, why are you showing me broadside? This is not a good idea, Missouri. At least not if you're trying to win the game. Hello, Citadel. Nice to meet you. But now it's too late for you to try to angle, because sure, you'll start turning, but I'm so close that I'm gonna be on your broadside again. And that's gonna be another one. Goodbye, Missouri. See? Alaska is pretty good, huh? 301k damage, 19 Citadel hits, 6 ships sunk, 1,000,000 credits, Kraken, Confederate, high caliber, 84 secondary hits even. Jesus Christ, what is this game? Wow, I guess this is the kind of games you'll have to do to get to Puerto Rico, huh? 2900 base XP. I'm gonna compliment this Iowa and the Z-39. I'll be honest, the Z-39 actually played a pretty important role this game. If she hadn't distracted the Musashi a little bit, this game probably could have gone quite differently. You know, because I was only a few seconds between the Musashi getting her shots off and me sinking, right? And me sinking her. Here we can see the damage, 257k damage with AP. I basically just didn't fire HE, which I think on this ship you probably shouldn't. You really shouldn't fire HE that often. Your HE DPM is fairly low. We're talking like, I don't know, tier 6 cruiser levels, and I'm not talking about the light cruisers like the heavy cruisers. Which means that AP spam is a lot better, and your AP ricochet angles are so good you probably should be firing AP almost all the time. Although the fires are pretty effective apparently. Here we can take our look at the damage taken. 18 AP shell hits by the Musashi for 31k damage, but it's very difficult to citadel the Alaska, and that's something you can take advantage of, which is something the Stalingrad doesn't have, right? You can sit the Stalingrad, which is why you probably wouldn't do crazy maneuvers like this in a Stalingrad. Of course, in many ways, the Puerto Rico would have been basically the same in many of these situations, except for the fact that the Puerto Rico could not have gotten into this match. That's what being an entire tier lower gives you. Here we can see the credits, and yeah, that's 1 million credits as just from the match. Wow. So let's take a look at the commander skills and upgrades now. Commander skills first. So I go for Priority Target, Adrenaline Rush, Superintendent, Concealment Expert, Fire Prevention, Basics of Survivability, and Expert Marksman. You might notice that this is something you might also want is Expert Loader, but you might notice that this build is actually the same I use on battleships. And that's because initially, well, I would use the Montana Captain for the ship. Now, I have been thinking of using a special captain on her to get the special reload booster or expert loader. However, I figured that, you know, it's probably not worth it, even though I do have the 19-point captains available, huh? Next up, let's take a look at the upgrades, I guess. So the upgrades are also pretty standard. Main arms modification, second slot, surveillance radar upgrade. If you don't have it, then take damage control systems modification 1. In the third slot, I use the dispersion upgrade. You could use the anti-air one, but I prefer the dispersion one. Fourth slot, I use steering gears. You could make an argument for damage control, but I like the 10.4 second rudder shift more than the reduced fire damage. Obviously, fifth slot is concealment, and sixth slot is reload. You could use range, but I don't recommend it. And instead of defensive anti-air, I use hydro, and obviously you use radar instead of the planes. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support, Vitali, and I hope I'll see you guys next time.